quite a following. Like, a lot of people, just like your practice. Big thing I hear is, like, you just kind of relate to them. Like, you kind of put yourself into their shoes. And I struggle with that as a teacher, and it's just because I'm new. So, it's going to take time, or I might never get there, but even when you taught me, you just like completely took yourself out of the equation, and you just like held this space for me, and it was such a good practice. So
so I don't know if I told you this, but like I am that kind of person where on a scale of 1 to 10, like with emotions, if I'm like, I'm between a 1 and a 4, I'm crying, or if I'm a 6 and above, I'm crying. I'm not so it's not news to me that I'm going to start crying right now, but that's like my thing that makes me, I feel like I trudged through so much, even though I'm only 31 or whatever, but like trying to figure out life, and I genuinely feel like I must have figured out what I was here for, because I was so empty. And my mom even was telling me the other day that she found a letter that I wrote, or a journal, because I journaled all the time, and she's so sweet. She like kept and she said that I wrote a letter about what I wanted to be when I grew up, and she said that I ended it with, I don't know what I want to be doing, but I know I want to leave a mark with every person I meet.
It's April 3rd, 2019, and welcome to episode 8 of Yogakane. Yoga and you fill in the blank. I'm Lauren Sanders, your host. It's really been a while since I've been on the mic. I've had some personal things come up over the past few weeks, which required a lot of my energy, so I decided to take a pause on editing the podcast, but it feels really good to be back, and thank you so much for your patience, and I'm doing better. I'm beginning to find my rhythm again, feeling the energy of spring. So with that said, happy spring to you. How are you doing out there? Where are my kaphas at? If you don't know what kapha means, stay tuned for episode 9, next week's episode, where my guest, the Ayurveda teacher, Sarah Resnick, talks with us about the doshas and the kapha season. If you haven't already, please pause this episode and subscribe to the podcast, because in that episode, Sarah talks all about spring cleaning our body, minds, and spirit so we can fully bloom this spring. It has really been great to connect with some of you on Instagram. My yoga community is really growing, and it's because of you, which means that you, the listener of the podcast, can get more of a taste of the awesome yogis from our region. Also, please continue to shamelessly plug yourself or loved ones as a guest for the podcast. I love it, and I think that there should be more shameless plugs out there. So if you are a yogi, or someone that you love as a yogi and you want to hear them on the podcast, please direct message me their info. And speaking of taste, Yogakane has its first official sponsor, everyone. Yeah. Okay, please do not tune me out. No, this isn't a sponsor from a tax company, even though FYI, taxes are coming up. Speaking of that, though, taxes are coming up April 15th, but this isn't about that. Northwest Yoga Feast is the first official sponsor for the podcast. So what is Northwest Yoga Feast? It's what I personally plan my entire summer around. It's a yoga festival that Yoga Journal ranks one of the top 11 yoga festivals in our region. That's right. A yoga festival that happens in your backyard is featured in the Yoga Journal. This feast really means a lot to me. I have a special place for it in my heart. I've only gone once, which was last year, and it was during the feast that I got the inspiration to start the Yogakane podcast. I just met so many uplifting, sharing, and knowledgeable yogis, and I knew I wanted to provide a platform for the yogis within our community to share their voice. The feast is super special because not only does it have an endless amount of yoga featuring teachers from the Pacific Northwest, but it also has sound bowl healing sessions, dancing, live music, a dance party, kirtan, meditation, and a really, really, really tasty vegetarian menu. Carrie Ann, the chef, throws it down in the kitchen. Okay, so I know that you're chomping at the bit. So, what are the costs for this thing? Right now, the Yoga Feast is offering an early bird special rate for the tickets, where you save $50 on your ticket, making the cost about $325. The early bird special ends on May 1st, so that's in about 1 month from now. Your ticket gives you an all-access pass to the feast. It gives you access to yoga, workshops, dancing, kirtan, music, all meals, including those very tasty late-night snacks. For accommodations, you get to camp out under the beautiful sky on the 42 acres that make up the Eureka Institute. Now, if camping isn't really your thing and you want to rent a room, or maybe you have a sleeper van or an RV you'd like to bring, reach out to the people who host the feast and ask them. FYI, I am one of those people who help out with the feast, so if you have any questions about the feast, feel free to ask me your questions and I will get them answered. One other thing, if you have a group of yogis who would like to go, group discounts are available. 20% off tickets for a group of 4 and 30% off tickets for a group of 8. Reach out to me or email Northwest Yoga Feast to get the group discount. I'll link to all of this in the show notes. So, what are you waiting for? Get your yogi friends, your family together, and let's cultivate abundance together at Northwest Yoga Feast this summer, July 19th through the 21st in Sagal, Idaho. I hope to see you all there. Now, let's get back to the episode. Within this episode, I talked to the yogi behind Yogakane. Her name is Emily Stone. Emily is a 500-hour registered yoga teacher who has been teaching yoga for about 2 years now. She is a Spokane Yoga instructor who many of you, the listeners of the podcast, have requested that she be on the show. And I get it now. Emily definitely left a mark on me, and we connected on so many levels about yoga and life off of the mat. I seriously feel like she's like a soul sister of mine. Our original recorded conversation lasted more than 3 hours, and I really did my best in editing this week's episode to give you a glimpse into the beautiful soul of Emily Stone. What I really appreciated about my time with Emily was her transparency. She understood that I was new to teaching yoga, and she took time to explain how and why she sequences classes the way that she does. She also explained to me how she found yoga jobs within the area, how she got her foot in the door within the yoga community here. I found this information really helpful, especially since I'm new to teaching yoga. And also, if you're a student of yoga, Emily is a profoundly gifted yoga teacher. She has a ton of insight into reading her students. I believe there's value in this episode for you as well, because Emily gives you a look into what it's like to be a yoga teacher. I hope this episode does Emily justice. Please enjoy. I really want to know more about your style of teaching.
My main thing for teaching is I want everyone to feel like they can do yoga. Mm-hmm. And I care so much about that. I believe in the power of the practice, of the asanas, of the breathing. I believe so much in slowing down, because if somebody would have had me slow down, things would have changed. Mm-hmm. And so I try to take that into the room every single time, whether it's one person or 300 and it's outside. I want people. It's funny that you say my style, because at first I was kind of docked for it because I offer a lot of modifications. So for my vinyasa, I know I use the word maybe a lot. I know I say things like I'll offer how to get right into something, and then I'll tone it back and say knees if you need it, or fist if you need it, or modify with the block. And I spend a lot of my time talking, and I've been told that I'm very educational or instructional, like
in the vinyasa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at first I thought it was this like negative thing, again, because it's not the norm of some of the places that I was at. But I didn't care, because I tried to change, and it felt wrong.
Yeah.
So I just kept being myself, and I decided that I'm not going to do something that's uncomfortable. I'm not going to do it because I just didn't think it would make sense.
Yeah, because if you're seeing someone that needs modification,
I'm going to give it to them.
You need to say it.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
And I want people to also have fun, and I want people to feel graceful. I want them to feel strong.
Yeah.
And I want them to be aware of their body.
How do you get them like aware of their body? What do you do?
I ask them to touch, like, so I could just come up with an example, but like, when you're in butterfly, like if you're just hanging out and we're just in butterfly for a little bit, I'll tell people to take their thumbs and put them into their arches and press into their arches.
Okay.
And see how that feels.
Yeah.
And like I cue people to breathe a lot more and count their breaths or their breathing, like how long it takes. Like, don't think about what we're going to be doing next. I just want you sitting here, and I want you to start saying 1, 2, 3, 4, and see if you can make it, and then let it go. So being aware of how long it actually is. Seeing if you're counting faster than I am, and I will sometimes be like, I kind of am amazed sometimes where I'm like, oh, well, that worked out really well. And I honestly feel like a lot of the stuff just comes through me without me acknowledging it, that it needs to be said, because I'm just looking at someone. I'm looking at them, and I'm like, they look uncomfortable. And I use a lot of body parts. Like I say things like, identify where your chest or your chin is. Can you take your chin off your chest? How does that feel?
Oh, okay. Use the body parts as like a beginning point to reference and then an end point to go from.
Yeah, and I'll say
cool.
like, warrior beat. Put your hands on your hips. Is one higher than the other? Put it down.
Yeah.
Unclench your butt cheek. I say that a lot. Don't squeeze your butt cheeks, like in certain things. Or in child's pose, shimmy your hips from side to side, because that'll get you deeper.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I think it's obviously gotten a lot better since or more impactful, I guess you could say, since I've been injured. Because I can't do it anymore, so I'm watching people.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing that their back isn't flat, or their hips are off. Or their facial expressions,
pains you.
You can see it in their face of like, as far as the style goes, I want people to also make it their own. If someone comes and they're needing a little bit of a butt kicking, I'm going to I can sense that too. Like you can sense it when someone is reached their edge 10 minutes into class.
Yeah.
And then when someone wants a couple more push-ups,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I say, just meet us in down dog. Or, you know, meet us in table. We'll, you know, when you're ready, we'll be moving into tree.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I like to let people know, you know, I'm just using my words to suggest some things.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't want to do it, you don't have to, you know. At the beginning of when I first started teaching, I had a lot of people say, I just love how you tell people not to do something if it hurts. And it's funny because in my mind, I'm like, well, my goodness, that should be normal. But if you're not used to that, and if you're not used to yoga, and if you're not used to just like anything, you might think it's supposed to hurt.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I like to tell people, depending on where we're at, but like, start at 70%. So if 100 is your max, which we should never really be reaching, because that, I mean, could have injuries, but like, I mean, depending on your day. But anyway, just like start at that 70 and see how that feels. And then the other thing, 2 sets of a flow. So I will get us warm, and then we'll do it once round, and we'll talk about it. We'll go a little bit slower.
Okay.
And then we do it again, and I offer the opportunity to get deeper or to just do the same and be more aware. And I do that for one flow, and then the next flow. And then I'll typically end with like a balancing or something maybe that we don't want to do twice, because that's inversion. You don't really need to spend so much time with your, I mean, if that's what you want, but so I do that. And I also let people know, just about every single class I teach, I let them know beforehand that I will give you a break, so that if you can stick with me, if you can stick through the flow, if you can, even if you're just stick with me, because I promise you we will get a break. And I think that also helps people just be more aware of themselves.
Yeah.
If they can talk themselves into knowing, okay, I did this once before and I got a break, and now I'm going to push it a little bit more, and then I'm going to get a break.
Yeah, I see it really helpful as well for like beginners, because a beginner, they have no idea, or maybe they've done those poses maybe a few times before in their life, but it helps with beginners just so they can kind of like know it's going to come next, because you do give them a chance to do it, you know, one time each side before, okay, I got it, and they can kind of test the waters a little bit more at the second round, or do it maybe with the eyes closed, or whatever. And then for an intermediate student, I can see them as like opening up the gates, like they
binding,
take a variation, whatever it is, because they know like, okay, we're doing this 2 times. You know, I'm gonna do the first round to get my body open, and then that second round I'm gonna hit that, and I'm gonna hit that bind or whatever. So that is such a cool way that you teach. Like, I can see why people value you as a teacher, because you like meet old parties like in the room. You know, you serving everybody. When you teach, do you like do a similar practice every class, or do you go into the room with like a set class, or is it like whatever people are bringing you?
Yeah, so that's one of my things that I just get so scared to admit, which opens up the but like I have my ideas, but like if I sense the room needs something, it comes out.
Okay.
And it's scary.
Yeah.
It's so scary, because I am someone that does, so that part of who I have that preparation person, like I am organized. I do like lists. I like to be clean. And I like to have an outline. I don't, I don't need to have step by steps, but I do like to have that thing to fall on. So I have some flows that I know.
Okay.
The back of my hand, if I'm walking to a room and it's chaotic and I can't even, or if I've had a bad day and that's trying to seep into my practice that I'm bringing, I go to that flow.
Okay. And this was all taught through Leela's?
No.
Oh.
This is what I've adapted.
Oh, okay. How long have you been teaching?
Since October of 2016.
Oh, okay.
No.
So just 2 years?
Yeah.
A little more than 2 years?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Wow.
Yeah.
And did you learn this by, like, just teaching a lot or by going to classes?
Well, by teaching.
By teaching.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it tough for you to get to classes or being a teacher?
It wasn't at first.
Okay.
But a year into my teaching is when I hurt myself.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
For anyone listening, I didn't hurt myself
yeah.
on my mat, which would be a cooler story. I was being careless and didn't use a ladder to hang a picture. So use ladders and listen to your parents.
So with your injury now, then, like, what's your own, like, yoga practice looking like?
Breathing,
yeah.
Laying and, like, having my alone time.
Okay.
Listening to music, so getting lost in music. Placing my palm on the places that hurt. It's really discouraging, though. But I do have, like I said, earlier, I have some hope. I finally found somebody that's actually, again, hearing me and listening and believing me, not telling me that just because I can lift my foot over my head doesn't mean I'm fixed and healed.
Yeah.
But right now it's just, selfishly, I suppose the other part of it is teaching. Because I can see people change. And even just today at a new studio that I started teaching at called Core 4, like...
Oh, cool, yeah.
Yeah, they opened up at the beginning of the year, or the end of, so like December. And I had quite a few people that are consistent, and to see them change, and even just today, it was 2 of my regulars, and I was like, do you guys want to talk about some fundamentals real quick? And they just lit up. They were like, yes, I would love to. And so that in one way or another, whether it's karma or... But it's a way for me to achieve some bit of yoga. Because it makes me just so thankful for the practice, the asanas, and my future. To know that, like, if I can see these people who I don't know anything about, just like I don't know anything about their past, their future, what they've dealt with, their injuries, but they're here. They're on their mat. And I believe in yoga. I believe in the power of it all. And I know that it can change your mind, body, and soul. And so that's kind of I leave yoga classes feeling so much better.
All right, let's take a quick break. I just want to remind you about the beautiful sponsor for this week's episode, Northwest Yoga Feast. Early bird pricing is going on now, and it ends May 1st. I'll link to the feast in the show notes, and I hope to see you there. And now, Emily would like to share with you a Hawaiian mantra that she learned from her yoga teacher training at Leela. Wait, Lauren, hang on. What exactly is a mantra? A mantra is a silent repetition of words to help keep the mind focused. A mantra can also be an affirmation that you say to yourself to keep you connected to a particular state of mind.
Are you ready for this?
Is this the Hawaiian mantra?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Bring it on.
Ready? I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And it's ho opono opono. So HO apostrophe OPONOPONO. Ho opono o. So true, because you gotta we have to acknowledge that space for others.
Yeah, and for ourselves too.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get back to Emily. Isn't she a special teacher? She has so much love for you all. I'll share her class schedule in the show notes.
And that's the other thing with boundaries. Like, I used to say yes to every single class that I was ever asked to go back to that. And now I am pretty strictly Monday through Thursday.
Yeah, that's a great thing to talk about actually with teachers, is especially new teachers. Like, the best way to learn is really to teach, but you can't say yes to every class that comes to you, because it's draining.
Be open to subbing.
Yeah, like
subbing is helpful.
Yeah.
But
But if you're always saying yes to every sub, you're gonna run into like overbooking or double booking, and then you're also gonna run into like
exhaustion.
Total exhaustion.
And it is, for me, it is so much. You're giving yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You are giving so much of yourself to strangers. And if you don't think that that is going to impact you at the end of the day, try teaching 5 times in a day and you tell me how you feel at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. And I'm tough. I mean, even today, my acupuncturist was like, you have the athlete mentality. You will go, go, go. And she's like, there's nothing wrong with that as long as you acknowledge it. And I'm like, oh, well, I've heard that before. Because that's what I would do. I would say yes to every class, and I would say yes to dinner with friends, and say yes to book, like a new book that I was going to read or something ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And then say yes to a sewing project because I do that with my sister. And then someone would need a class or something covered at Apple the next day, and I just be like, yeah, I'll do it all. And then the half a day that I actually had off, I would be hiding in my room, unable to get up. Like, I'm not getting out of bed.
Yeah, you couldn't even like read the book that you wanted or do anything that you wanted.
Putting your phone to your face, not happening. Mm-hmm. I'm on Do Not Disturb. And I think that that's one thing that we all, as teachers and students, just understand that we don't know what anyone else is going through. But just show up. Mm. And leave your stuff at the door, because we're all going through something. Yeah. Whether it's because our pants didn't fit when we tried to try them on that morning, or someone just passed away.
Mm-hmm. I know. I like to say, like, there's always like leave like if you go camping, so I was like, leave it better than you found it.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Like with humans, I just try to think like, leave them better than I found them. Just so I've really been trying to bring that into when I teach.
Yeah.
Just like leaving people better than I found them in that space.
And if that means that we need to just let something be sometimes, like you and I, that kind of the person that we are, the human that we are.
Yeah.
But sometimes we do. We have to just put our stuff, bundle it up, put it in our cubby, teach the class.
Hold the space.
Hold the space.
Yeah.
And then if we choose to, that's the one other thing is that I try to say in my classes a lot is like, if something's on your mind, leave it off your mat. And if it will come back to you, if it comes back to you, whether it be good or bad, you can decide after you're here with me for an hour, for 40 minutes, for 50 minutes, for 90 minutes. If you choose to take that back with you, if you choose to pick it back up, it's your choice. But just feel that space that you're creating by just pushing it off to the side.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
And like sometimes I'll even say, put it in a bubble. And with each exhale, like right when we're settling in, just blow it away.
Yeah.
It could float back to you. And if it does, you can deal with it then. And that helps me also because of my reactive past and personality, because it does. I have to breathe and say, not right now. I hear you. I got you, but not right now.
Yeah.
And that's a daily thing. And that's also like, it's just helpful everywhere.
Yeah, it
because
is.
those things can creep into your mind in the middle of class.
Yeah, the mindfulness practice is really important, especially because you teach at Gonzaga's, like with the kids there, teaching them mindfulness. It helps in so many places in their lives, like taking a test or following through with homework, or like saying no to something that like just doesn't align with their values, you know. Yeah.
And reminding them to even call people that they don't.
Yeah.
Call your parents. Call your parents. Call your grandma. Call your sister. Call your brother. They probably miss you.
That's so cool.
And I say that. I'm like, if you're feeling shaky, like, go somewhere where you don't feel shaky.
How do you come up with your visuals, like your bubbles? Like what that just come up?
You know what's kind of silly is I close my eyes a lot when I teach. Do you really?
Yes, I do too. Like
oh my god!
I've been noticing it over the past month and a half, 2 months, that I'm in the middle of class and my eyes are closed, and I'm not doing the practice.
Yep.
I'm just like
eyes closed,
talking to them with my eyes closed. But sometimes I'm just like sitting there or I'm standing with them and my eyes are like closed. I don't know what it is either. I do the same thing.
I don't know.
And I don't know if it's because I want them to feel private.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if I want them to feel like this is their private time. I don't want them to think I'm, like, looking at them and, like, critiquing them.
Yeah.
Or if it's, like, because I'm just feeling it. It's probably a combination of a few, depending on what's going on. But yeah, I do the same thing.
That's great.
I know. Isn't that funny?
Yeah. I think that where mine comes from is like when I am closing my eyes. And then I also, so I don't know how they come to me, but they just, and I honestly, as crazy as it sounds, but I try to let the pressure go. And
when you're teaching.
When I'm teaching. I try to and one of the other things is my comfort zone, which if anybody out there has any questions, just let me know. But like music, my comfort zone is my music. I spend a lot of time picking my songs, making sure my playlists they flow.
Yeah.
And that's me. I know very successful, it's not what I meant to say, but like very skilled teachers who don't spend any time on their playlists.
Yeah.
And I still have a blast in their class. I learn things about myself. But I definitely, my crutch would be my playlist. I know when a fast song's coming up or when a slower one, I know what's coming, because music is words, and those are my thing. they're my jam. So
you like build your class around the songs that are coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
well,
cool.
right. They're my guide, I suppose.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You teach around the community, like at Lululemon, and you do some outdoor things during the summer.
Yes.
Like, how did you get yourself into that position to teach there or in those kind of places?
I just asked people.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
And I do things that are uncomfortable, like I am a thrifter. I'm a hand-me-down. I value clothes and their worth, and I value like the people who make them and all that stuff. But like, I just went into Lululemon. I went into Athleta. I would be there, and I don't always buy things. In fact, I just recently, this past fall, is when I treated myself, or whatever you want to call it, to some actual like brand new Lululemon pants.
Oh wow,
and like
nice.
I
haven't
a couple
done that.
yeah, like I've gotten some gifted, like my mother's wonderful, she did it for, you know, and but I would go there knowing that I don't have to go there to purchase something, that they're people too. And I just would talk to them, and then I would go to other studios.
Okay.
And I wouldn't, hi, my name's Emily, I teach yoga. I just talk to people.
Just like be nice.
Yeah,
Just be a human.
Human and go out of my comfort zone though. You know, thank teachers.
Yeah. Go
Go up and say thank you to teachers after class.
Totally.
You know, it's uncomfortable though, especially right after yoga when you're like, I don't want to talk to anybody.
But getting a thank you as a teacher is like
so good.
So nice.
Yeah.
And it's like, it kind of opens up the door. They'll tell you like what they liked.
Yeah.
And it's just like really good to get that feedback, because then you're you can start to grow from there.
Yeah.
Take it from there. You know? Cool. So you go out of your comfort zone and like go to new studios, or just like.
And I ask people like, do you want to do yoga here? Would you want me to?
Cool.
I've noticed that doing hosting free stuff doesn't always, people want to see value. And if you give it away for free, people feel like it's going to be a joke. So, but then that's hard, because then you put a price on yourself, and then you have to figure that out. But
yeah.
I don't know. I think that also comes from my background of like just opening up the door and being uncomfortable and just being like, here I am. I have something cool. It's called yoga. Like I've reached out to a handful of I've sent emails, Instagram messages, all sorts of stuff. No reply.
Yeah.
But
just not the right time.
Yeah. And I'm not going to take it personal, because I put myself in their shoes, and also they would have absolutely zero. They don't know me.
Yeah.
So there's no reason for them to tell me no, because it's me. They're just not, or there's no reason for them to ignore me because they don't know me. You know, so don't give them so much credit.
Yeah, I know. Like, don't give that whole process of like putting yourself out there, asking for a job, or like asking if there's an opportunity here to do something. If it's not the right time, like it's just not the right time. Like something else will come of it. Yeah, it's really easy though to like take it personally though.
Wow.
You know, but we're all here. We've all been like denied.
Oh yeah. I'm not gonna say it doesn't impact me. I mean, it definitely does, in the sense of because I'm human. Yeah. But it's a process where I talk myself out of it.
Yeah, it's just a part.
And
of the
I'll
process.
write things down. If someone's really hurting my feelings, I write down what happened, and then cool. I usually will end it with a prayer or a mantra or something.
Oh, that's nice.
And it's even, sometimes it's just like scribbled. Sometimes I'm just like, whatever, just get it out.
That's so cool. So you live in Spokane. What's one place in the area that you suggest that people check out or go to?
For practice?
No, just for like if they're visiting Spokane, like what should they do here?
Oh.
Because Spokane doesn't suck.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
You're
it's
right.
Awesome.
I love it. I'm a big fan of Spokane.
Me too.
One thing. Oh, that's so hard to pick to say one thing, just because. I mean, I would be a tourist in my city every day if I could, just because there's nooks and crannies everywhere. But the thing that's popping in my mind is a view, like at night.
Okay.
It's unfortunate because you can't really park there anymore, but up on the South Hill there's a cliff drive.
Oh yeah.
You can walk over there, and at night it's just so pretty. Mm-hmm. And but if that's not a thing, like drive to the top of the parkade or the parking spots downtown, like looking over the river, like, or going over to High Drive, like finding a place where you can see the city, sunrise, sunset, nighttime. Even when you're going down Freya Hill, which is over like when you're going down that hill, it's just so pretty.
Yeah.
And when you're coming into town from the freeway or from the airport.
I love that view. Oh my gosh.
There's someone that took a picture of that, and there's a handful of people that have, but something where you can just remove yourself just for a moment. Yeah. And
thank you so much.
Yeah, you're so great.
Namaste,
Emily.
Namaste. You are so great. And namaste.
Oh, yes.
Can I tell everyone what namaste?
Yeah, if you are ever worried about what you're saying at the end of class, we say namaste, and it means that the light within me honors, acknowledges, and respects and bows to the light within you. So it's a whole mouthful.
In one
word, but it does so much. And if you want to say thank you after class, you could even just say namaste. Mm-hmm. And if you don't feel comfortable, you don't have to, but don't be afraid. You are not committing to some crazy religion, like insane thing. It's just honoring each other. Yeah.
Namaste.
Namaste.
This is so good. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Emily, for your time and energy with the podcast. I am so happy to have met you and connected with you on so many levels. Emily teaches all around the Spokane area. I'll share her class schedule in the show notes, but you can find her also teaching at the Lotus in Spokane or at the Union. Thank you for listening to this week's episode. This podcast is just as much mine as it is yours. So please connect with me on social media at Yogakane and ask me your questions. And also please share me the names of yogis who you would like to hear on future episodes. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the podcast and leave a review, because I guess reviews matter, but I'm not really too sure how. Anyways, our next episode is dropping next week. I talked to an Ayurveda teacher about what happens to us when we change seasons. During this episode, Sarah Resnick talks about the value of having a daily schedule. In the meanwhile, I would love to learn what your daily rhythm looks like. Do you practice yoga or do you meditate every day? Are you a lot like me and you don't really have a daily rhythm or a daily practice right now? Yeah, I feel ya. I invite you to join me this week as we lead up to the release of episode 9 to maybe make a few adjustments in your life so you can create space for a daily schedule. So it might look like waking up a few minutes early to meditate or consciously practicing yoga every day. Maybe it's just setting an intention for your day while you're still laying down in bed, and something that you can keep on going back to, like a mantra. Start small. I would love to hear how it goes for you, and I'll also keep you posted on my journey. Until next time, please continue to give yourself grace and a whole lot of love. You are all beautiful, mysterious humans. Namaste and Shanti peace to you and your household.